Admissions in higher ed is stuck. Outdated tools and rigid processes slow institutions down, making it harder to truly connect with today's students. But Brittany at the College of Albemarle shows that there's a better way.
At College of the Albemarle, we're always looking for new ways to better serve our students. Let's face it, though, life doesn't always fit into a 9-to-5 schedule. That's why we've been so excited about the AI tools we get to use through our CRM, Element 451. This makes connecting to COA easier than ever. We're working on Bolt AI Assistance, Bolt Discovery, and these are tools designed to give students access to COA resources and information anytime, day or night. Got a question about admissions? Need help exploring programs? Looking for resources? These tools are like having COA staff at your fingertips, ready to help whenever it's convenient for you.
Your prospective students get the information they need when they need it, and your team saves time. Visit element451.com to see how AI can help you simplify your admissions process to stay focused on what really matters, your students. Welcome to AI for You. Today's use case focuses on conducting your first AI visibility audit for your institution. Many higher education marketers are still optimizing primarily for Google without understanding how their programs and institutions appear in AI search results across different platforms. Use the prompt in the show notes on different platforms to see how your institution appears in AI search. The prompt is set up for you to explore particular programs you're focusing on, but it can be adjusted to be more general or more specific. The importance of this prompt will become more apparent after listening to the rest of the episode, as this one will be a little different than normal. Today, we're exploring new research on how prospective students search for, discover, and research higher education institutions. Our guest, Faton Sopa, is the co-founder and CEO of Manfera. He will help shed light on why traditional SEO strategies are no longer sufficient and how institutions can adapt to this rapidly evolving search landscape. Let's jump right in. Welcome to AI for You. I'm Brian Piper, an AI and content marketing consultant, helping higher education institutions become more effective and efficient. This show explores practical, actionable ways that higher education professionals can integrate AI into their workflows to solve real problems and create more meaningful human connections. Each episode delivers a specific use case you can implement today, followed by an in-depth conversation with experts who are successfully leveraging AI in admissions, marketing, advancement, and across a campus. You'll walk away with concrete strategies, tools, and inspiration to make AI work for you and your institution. Thank you so much for coming on the show, Faton, and welcome.
Thank you for having me, Brian.
So I want to jump right into some of this research that you did, that you presented at the EduWeb conference, and really kind of look at the way that students, prospective students are, looking into universities, institutions, how they're researching them and how they're learning more. If you want to talk a little bit about like some of your biggest findings.
We've been working on this research for months now. And when we started, we had a lot of questions that we wanted to get answers for. We wanted to get some fresh data from recently enrolled students. And our main goal behind this research was to finally map the journey that they go through from awareness until they apply at the college. And what channels do they use? How do they use it? What are the struggles that they go through? So we wanted to provide those kind of data and insights to the industry so that we finally can understand how they're using its channel. We had some ideas about how they might be searching, but we got some surprising stats. And what we were mostly surprised on is we didn't anticipate how much the structure of student search process has changed. Like when we go back, like even decades ago, search like used to be like just a starting line where prospective students would just go to Google something, they type broad query, and then narrow down their search. Or data show that that is now much more complex. It's cross-platform, and student will begin the search on one platform and then jump to another. There are multiple touch points along the way that we might have not understood until now, and especially how the emerging platforms like AI are influencing the decision. One of the things that stood out from the report is that 87% of the students cross-check what they find by going to another platform. And they are doing this deliberately. So the main reason they are doing this is that they are either not finding enough information on that platform, or they just want more or personal opinions on the information that they have found. So this is more kind of a quality gap than a quantity gap. And it was surprising to us, like, to find that their search journey is so non-linear, and the channel that they visit from one stage to another, it is very complex. Right? It's not that they just go to Google, they find a website, they read your program page, and then they submit an RFI. It's much more complex than that. Now, the search is happening beyond Google, and that is what most higher education marketers are actually missing. They are too focused on the Google ads. They're only focused on Google, when actually the search is much bigger than that. It's happening on Reddit, it's happening on AI, it's happening on YouTube, on TikTok, on Instagram, and other platforms as well. And I think the vast majority of universities are like missing that opportunity.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think institutions, have been optimizing for Google for so long, and they just kind of see that as the best working solution without realizing there are a ton of missed opportunities. And I love the audiences that you looked at. You looked at undergraduate, graduate, and adult learners, and how those different groups use different channels and like use them in different orders to research and find their solutions.
We anticipated that there might be some changes on the way that the different generations and different segments use those channels. So we wanted to verify that. And what we ended up having with the data is that yes, there are some search behaviors that are the same among segments, but there are some that were like quite surprising. And we designed the research on that way that we can analyze those segments separately, but at the same time, we can compare them with each other, so to have more deep understanding into their full decision cycle. So when it comes to the differences, what was most interesting finding was the AI. In the undergraduate segment, about 12% use the AI in their search. And this is mostly happening during the awareness discovery and during the shortlist. So they are still relying on Google and social media and Reddit and other platforms, but they are going to AI to make comparison and to fact check what they are finding on other platforms. The other groups, the graduate, the adoption is higher there, is 22%, and AI is showing up more in the shortlisting phase. What this segment is actually doing on AI is that they are comparing degrees and programs with each other. They are evaluating if they fulfill the admission requirements and to check the rankings of colleges, universities there. And actually, this goes in line with what we expect, because AI is able to provide those fast answers to them. So instead of them going to Google and export 10 or 20 pages and then form an opinion on their own, like they don't have to open those pages anymore. They just go to AI search, they type prompts, and then AI gives them all the programs, the admission requirement, and then they upload their CV on that and their background, and they say, like, tell me, am I eligible? And tell me, do I have chances to get admitted at this college? What was more surprising than that was actually the adult learners. By far, these were the highest adoption segment. 30% of them were using AI mostly during AI and awareness and shortlist stage. For them, it's more about like speed and efficiency, and it is understandable because they are going through a lot happening in their life. Like they want to balance work, family, and study, and they want very concise answers. This was the group that, on all cases, were using AI more than any other group on the research. We didn't expect that. We expected that the graduate, especially undergraduate, were using AI more. That was not the case. And I think this is very important, especially for institutions that target adult learners with their programs. So it is without any dilemma that being on AI search is going to help you to get more eyeballs and more latent applications and eventually more students at the bottom of the line. The strategic insight here is that like AI's influence is not uniform among generations, but it is already shaping those decisions. While for undergrads, it's still secondary, for adult learners, it's quite central in the decision-making process. So it is very important for institutions to be visible, especially for the audiences that they are targeting.
Yeah, and it was interesting. Your research also showed that not showing up in AI results could be a deal breaker sometimes for different audiences as well.
Absolutely. Like one of the clear signals that all research has identified is that how much absence in search, in search in general, not only in AI search, can hurt school chances. When we asked students like how influential was search in their decision making, they told us that 40% of students considered a college or less if it didn't appear in search results. 60% of them have said that they are ready to go on the step-on page when they want to find a program or college. But the issue here is that in AI, there is no a second page. So if you're missing the chance of getting into that answer, like you have less chances of influencing the decision. So what makes this even trickier is that AI doesn't work like traditional SEO. You cannot just optimize a landing page out there or launch some new landing pages and just get some new rankings. The way those large language models work is that they build those answers by pulling the data from multiple sources across the web. So that is your education website, government, college search platforms, media articles, everything. This means that your presence in AI is just it's a reflection of your total presence in the digital ecosystem, not just on your website. From our perspective, making sure that you show up comes with 3 layers on top of that. The first one that I think it is very important and deal breaker is that everything that you have on the internet should be complete. Research shows that students are asking AI for very specific information. Mostly they're asking about program details, admission requirements, cost, and outcomes. And if those details are not present very clearly, very structured, not only on your site, but as well as on other sites, then chances are that the AI has nothing to pull from. That's the first thing. The second one is distribution. If the only authoritative mention of your program is on your own website, that's going to be quite a problem because AI, as said, AI tools are cross-referenced in multiple platforms, and you're going to need the same information shown on different sites as well. You're going to need to make sure that that information is consistent across all third-party sites, directories, the college search platforms, and Reddit, and social, and everything. So the search looks much more complex than it used to be. And the third one, the last one, is credibility. AI is more likely to trust and show information from trusted sources. And if those sources have outdated information or wrong information, then AI might not get you into those answers at all.
Yeah, and that's one of the things I'm always telling people is that, in this day and age, distribution really equals discoverability. And if you don't have a presence on all of these different places where audiences are searching for you and looking for you, and if your content isn't optimized for all of those
Absolutely.
channels and accurate, you're missing opportunities.
Absolutely.
So it's interesting looking at this research. I mean, we've both been in the SEO space for a long time, and it's always been Google has been the primary leader, and it still is. But these other channels, especially for different audiences, are quickly making up that space and closing that gap. How important do you think AI search and optimizing for AI is going to be for higher ed institutions moving forward?
In the SEO industry, we are used to changes. We have been living in a time where what has worked now might not be working in 3 or 6 months from now. So based on what we already are seeing from the data, AI is kind of moving from being a very interesting trend to being core part of the search mix. And that is happening much faster than institutions are prepared for adoption. So right now, AI is not dominant. Google has from based on our research, Google still has 3 times the share of the first searches compared to AI. But that is already changing. And AI is already highly influential on the decision-making layer of the process. So our research show that students are using AI to compare schools, to get summaries, to validate information. And in other words, AI itself is I think it's positioning itself to kind of being the last filter before student takes a decision. If you think about that from a strategic standpoint, is that it is more kind of dangerous place to be absent than the top of the funnel on Google. And I think the real impact that AI is having in the industry is that it is changing the way students search. I expect that to reflect on other channels as well. Right now, we are in a transition where Google, it is a traditional search and an AI search at the same time. That might change in the near future because AI is teaching people to get fast answers, to get very specific answers, and to be personalized. We expect seeing that on other platforms as well, on Google, on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, and other platforms where search is going to be much smarter, and we're going to move from query-based to prompt-based searches. And it is based on our ability as higher marketers to adapt this very, very fast. And the other reason that AI is important and I think is going to grow is that it is going on the direction that student behavior has been going for years. Students want fewer clicks and shorter time between the question and the answer. They want information to be gathered from multiple sources, and they want all of this to be in a plain language. And AI is providing just that.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we're definitely in the era where we're moving from the traditional keyword searches into those conversational queries. And I think writing our content and creating our content with that in mind is critical, and make sure that you're putting the questions that your users are asking into your content and putting those answers right in there as well. And then, using schema and markup and, any of those other tools that make the content more scannable so that these AI tools can index them more, more comprehensively and know how to organize and order your content, I think is going to be more and more critical as we move forward.
Yeah, there are a lot of questions unanswered, even for us. It is changing very fast. And higher education institutions being known as very bureaucratic or very reluctant to change is going to be very challenging for the vast majority of them. But for the ones who are faster at adoption, those are going to be the ones that will lead the change and that will gain advantage of being the first one to adapt on this new search behavior.
Yeah, and we know that a lot of these, zero-click results only feature a handful of responses. You don't get the whole list of, blue links to click on and sort through. It just gives you the top, answers based on the questions that you have. So, institutions really need to start thinking about how they can get to the top of that list sooner than their competitors. So,
Absolutely. And you mentioned the zero click searches. What we've seen happening is that there is a decline in general about top of the funnel traffic, which is mostly fulfilled by zero click searches. One advantage that higher education has from other industries is that once you want to take a decision, which is to learn more about a specific program from the actual source, or when they want to submit an RFI, or they want to talk to an admission officer, or when they want to apply, they will still go to the official website, or they will go to other sources to find that information, and they will end up on the official college website. So we are at the same time, we're seeing an increase of the quality of traffic that higher education websites are receiving. So that is a great opportunity as well. So what we are missing from that top of the funnel traffic, we are gaining from getting more qualitative leads and applications on the website.
yeah, absolutely. So less organic traffic, but more converting traffic.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's great. The research really talks about the importance of running regular kind of AI audits to assess your institution's appearance, visibility, performance. What kind of, are there tools to do that? What kind of metrics should people be looking for? I know a lot of times when I'll do that for institutions, I'll just, look at what they're ranking for and then go ask related questions of different AI tools. It's a very manual, process. So what other tips do you have for schools to start doing those sorts of audits?
The key, I think, here is to approach AI audit with the same mindset that we've been doing in the traditional SEO audit. And that means going beyond, let's just ask ChatGPT about us, about our programs every now and then. And I mean, there are a lot of platforms that are emerging, but it is very early to tell if they are reliable and if those tests actually make sense at this point, because everything is changing very fast. From what we are delivering to our partners in the higher education space is that the good AI should start by mirroring the student college search journey. And that means by breaking your prompts in the stages like we did in our research. And that is by analyzing what students are searching for, what your students are prompting to AI during the awareness and discovery stage, during shortlisting stage, and during decide and apply stage. So once you have a clear understanding of what different prompts are they using during each of these stages, then you can analyze, are you showing with the right content out there? Is your content refreshed? Is your content relevant? And then try to measure everything there on 4 key dimensions. And what the way that we are structuring it is that at first we are checking for the presence. Are you even in the AI generated responses? And are the responses that are being there relevant to what you actually do? The second one is position. How are you being described? Are the strength and all the description they're actually matching what you want to be matched? Are they matching your website content? The third one is accuracy. And are the facts, the situation, the deadlines, the requirements correct? If you have errors there, students are going to trust that. Our research has found that more than 80% of students, actually 84% of students, trusted the responses that they got from AI search. So if you have incorrect information there, that's going to influence whether you're going to win that student or lose it. And the fourth factor that we check is competition. How do you show up relative to your competitors? Like if they're mentioned often, when you are mentioned, are you ranking first? Are you ranked fifth? And what have they done like to win the first place? And then on some cases, you need to reverse engineer that and try to understand what source of information AI is actually using to provide that information. And then work backwards with your SEO team, with your content team, and try to influence the AI as soon as possible. The sooner you do that, the better, because if you do this late in the process, chances are that AI are already going to have a lot of information about you and your competitions, and then you're going to play the catch-up game. So it's going to be more time, more resources, more expensive for you.
Yeah, absolutely. And we see this technology changing so quickly and evolving so fast. Where do you see like AI and particularly AI search going in the next 2 years or so?
From all research or experience, and AI search is still in a growing phase. They are launching updates, they're taking feedback, and now they're launching new updates as well. We foresee that there is not going to be any traditional search within 2 years. All the searches all there, especially on the major platforms, are going to be powered by AI. So we're going to move from query-based searches to prompt-based searches. And that is actually happening on Google. But because Google is a really big corporation, they cannot launch updates that will screw their business model. So they are being very careful on how they're launching their updates. So that's why we are currently seeing traditional search and AI search at the same page. First with AI summaries, now we have a different tab. And we're going to see ads very soon on AI search. And they are already coming to Google search as well. So a lot of features that we used to see on traditional search, like the mapping, the phone calls, the widgets, are going to be on AI search very soon. So it is up to us, the higher education marketers, how fast we are to be adaptive to this and lead the changes.
Yeah, and we're even seeing like Perplexity put out their own browser, and OpenAI is working on a version of a browser as well, which I'm sure will have AI search integrated into its functionality, and we're going to keep seeing like Notebook LM just added a feature for video overviews, and they already have audio overviews. And those are just like test platforms for Google to be able to experiment with some of these new features. So I think the landscape is going to continue shifting very quickly.
Absolutely. And like what actually happening between those players, the OpenAI with ChatGPT, Perplexity, and Google, they are in a data war. The more data that they have, the more they can understand their customers, and then the more they can tweak their products and make it more useful, more usable by their clients. So it is not surprising that we have a browser from Perplexity. That actually a move that Google has done more than a decade ago. I'm curious to see how that's going to evolve. I expect the Chrome to be much smarter on the months and years to come. I think Google is a little behind on some of the steps, but we're going to be surprised. I expect to be surprised by what Google is going to introduce and launch on the months and years to come, because what Google has that OpenAI and ChatGPT does not have is distribution and data.
So much data.
And one thing that it is not so easy replaceable on these two is distribution. If Google is smart enough to launch those new updates like by the next 1 or 2 years at max, it can catch up what's happening on AI. Otherwise, we're going to see a different scenario happening where Google is not the first one.
Can't thank you enough for your time and insights today. One of the questions I always end with is, how are you using AI yourself? What techniques are you using that are having the most impact for you personally?
I'm using it like as a personal coach. Like whenever I'm dealing with something that I do not have enough expertise to deal with, or I'm reading something that I do not understand, I don't have to pay a coach like thousands of dollars per month. I just ask it and I provide the context, and then it helps me like a ton. And I feel smarter from using it. So this is really has been a game changing for me, because like being the CEO of an agency that only work with higher education and with SEO, a lot of things are happening, and sometimes you might hear something that you have not a clue about what that is, and then you have to keep yourself updated about like everything, because people expect it, because they pay us for it. So ChatGPT is being a very good personal coach to me.
Fantastic. That's great. Well, thank you again, Fatan. Really enjoyed your perspective on this. And I think this is a critical thing that institutions need to start thinking about.
So thank you for having me, Brian.
Fatan's research reveals a fundamental shift in how prospective students discover and evaluate higher ed institutions. The finding that 87% of students cross-check information across multiple platforms highlights the complexity of the modern search journey, which has evolved far beyond the traditional Google to website pathway. What's particularly striking is the generational insight about adult learners leading AI adoption at 30%, significantly higher than college-age students. This challenges assumptions about who is embracing new technology and suggests that institutions serving working professionals need to prioritize AI visibility immediately. The concept of AI serving as the last filter before student decisions is perhaps the most critical takeaway. When 40% of students consider a college less favorably because it doesn't appear in AI search results, the stakes for visibility have never been higher. Fatan's framework for AI audits, evaluating presence, position, accuracy, and competition, provides a practical starting point for institutions ready to assess their current AI visibility. As we transition from query-based to prompt-based search, the institutions that adapt their content strategy now will have significant advantages over those who wait. Please reach out to me with unique ways that you're integrating AI into your professional and personal lives. And as always, blue skies and keep creating. Thanks for listening to AI for You. This show is a proud member of the Enrollify Network, home to higher ed's largest collection of podcasts. Enrollify is where higher ed goes to grow, so be sure to check out our other podcasts, webinars, video clips, blogs, and more. Visit enrollify.org and subscribe for all the latest details and content drops directly to your inbox. Enrollify is brought to you by Element 451, the digital workforce platform for higher ed. Learn more at element451.com.